change on the buses, as I mentioned before, with plans to scrap the use of cash by the end of 2013. That's the confidential proposal from Transport for London, discovered by this programme. The question, though, is that fair? Andrew Cryan reports.
Slow to use, expensive to look after. According to Transport for London, cash is a big problem on the buses. And their proposed solution? Getting rid of it altogether. Sunday Politics has seen this confidential briefing for the Mayor, outlining his fares policy which came in this January. At the end, it clearly states,
"It is also proposed that the sale of cash tickets on bus be stopped at a suitable time in 2013.
As the bus system has modernised, cash is used less and less, now accounting for just 1.5% of journeys. It may not sound like much, but actually that's 24 million journeys a year. And since it costs nearly twice as much to travel by cash as it does using an Oyster or anything else, you can bet that those are probably times when people had a pretty good reason for using cash. Labour say it would be a mistake to get rid of cash altogether.
I think if you're waiting at a bus stop at 2 o'clock in the morning for a night bus and your Oyster card is empty, you really want to be able to pay cash on that bus because it's important to get home. There may not be many occasions on which you need to pay in cash, but actually they could be crucial. And I think Transport for London should think again about taking this facility away, particularly on the night buses.
And according to London's transport watchdog, since so few people use cash, it's questionable whether scrapping it would speed things up at all.
If you were to take cash off buses and you then had people who couldn't, for whatever reason, pay, or didn't have the right card, actually you'd probably end up with the buses being delayed more by having arguments with the driver over what kind of card you did or didn't have, than actually just being able to pay cash and get on with the journey.
As yet, TfL have not consulted the public on their plan. And while transport authorities might be keen, Londoners are likely to have a more mixed response.
I've got caught out sometimes if my oysters run out and things like that, and there's no other way of paying now.
Normally I pop to a newsagent's beforehand, so if people plan ahead, I don't think there'll be a problem.
Well, it wouldn't affect me because I always have the Oyster card and most people I know do.
It's not really good news for people who want to pay by cash. So yeah, I think it's bad news.
But whatever the public think, it may well be that spending cash on the buses will soon be history.
Well, joining me now, we have Managing Director of Surface Transport at Transport for London, Leon Daniels, is with us. So, is this happening or not?
Just to be clear, we've made no decision on this whatsoever. It's part of a long-term plan to remove cash from buses.
I sort of knew you were going to say that.
But we have no plan to do so.
Well, I mean, it was because of our digging around that we got this far anyway, because you can't be accused of being quite open about this. It is proposed that the sale of cash tickets on buses be stopped at a suitable time in 2013, with another line suggesting very strongly that the Mayor takes this up. And that's more than a consultation. That seems like a recommendation to me.
But what I'm saying is we've not yet made any decision. We've not been out to consultation.
8 months left. When are you going to get round to it?
Well, as I say, what we do is we follow the market. And what's happening in the market is that we're down to 1% of our bus passengers paying cash. As a result of that,
so
we're
you are
watching
going to do it?
No, what I'm saying is we are watching the market. As the number of passengers who pay cash continues to diminish, there'll come a point when it won't be worth collecting cash anymore.
Yes, but as I say, you have 8 months to make a decision. You're talking about the fact you haven't done a consultation yet. You have I keep reminding you have 8 months. You've already told me that you feel that the market is driving you to this decision. Just be clear about it. Just say that you're going to do it.
We'll be absolutely clear. We are watching the market. We're seeing how many people pay cash, and when too few people pay cash, we'll come to a view.
What is too few? OK, let's go that route.
Well, let's be really clear now. 1% of our passengers are paying cash. That's an insignificant number now of people. In fact, we're getting to the position where the cost of collecting the cash is greater than the value of it. So, of course, we have to watch what the public is doing. The public overwhelmingly is using the Oyster product and is also using the new contactless way of paying.
With respect, it seems a little bit like sophistry if you say we have to get to the point where it's too low. Next sentence, it is too low already. But let's leave that to one side. What about the concerns that have been raised in the film? You have young people, women in particular, who may go out in the evening. They may be caught out. They need to get home. They need to get on a bus. Places are closed. They can't get their hands on an Oyster card. Are the buses really going to leave them stranded?
No, because all vulnerable people and no vulnerable people are left behind on our bus network. Of course, we have to raise a bit of a distinction between the people who are trying to avoid paying and the people who are genuinely in a difficult situation. So to stress, vulnerable people are never left stranded on our bus network.
So you're telling me that a bus driver is going to have to determine policy on the hoof from his cab late at night with a bus full of people. You're leaving it to him to make that decision.
He does that all the time. He does that every day. He makes decisions like that every day. So we've got no difficulty about that. What's mostly important is that, as you heard on there, nearly everybody who uses the transport network is using a prepaid card of some sort. And so therefore we are just at the situation now where we only have a very small number of cash passengers.
So you say, but the small number of passengers, they do still use the buses. Now, let's stay with the scenario that we're talking about. Are you honestly saying this is the best way to run a network, even though that will provoke rows on the bus, where people are arguing their case, where others are getting angry on the bus because they want to get home? This is a tinderbox that you are creating, and the lack of taking cash is going to be the spark that lights it.
Absolutely not. Because let's be clear, the London bus network runs at a loss. There's £400 million worth of taxpayers' money goes into the London bus network every year to make up the difference between what the passengers pay and the cost of running the network. Now, the last time I checked, the passengers didn't want to pay any higher fares and the taxpayer didn't want to pay any more tax. It costs us well north of £10 million, approaching £15 million to collect the cash.
I know.
Now, with that £15 million, there's lots of other things you could do with the London bus network, plenty of which people are asking us for on a daily basis.
I know you haven't asked Londoners. Have you asked Transport Police whether they're happy with your plans?
It's not a case of asking whether people are happy with our plans, because, as I keep telling
you,
there is not a date, there is no plan to do this. As we come to the point when we think this would be a good idea, we will consult widely with all of the stakeholders, including with the police and including passengers, the
Has Boris Johnson told you what he wants to do?
The Mayor is waiting for us to make him a recommendation.
Right, well, you're running out of time for that. OK, so let's... Paul Bairstow, what do you make of this?
Well, I mean, I'd be interested to really just hear whether or not the document you obtained by Freedom of Information that does talk about 2013, whether that is a document that Transport for London accept as part of their thought process leading up to these proposals.
Oh, it is. It's a document that we wrote, and it's part of a document that went to the Mayor. So
2013 is a year that you're actually thinking about doing this in?
When we wrote the document, it was a year in which we thought we were doing it, yes.
So you've had a change of mind since then?
Not in the slightest. It's an aspiration, but of course there's not a drop-dead date. If it's not done by the 31st of December, there's no penalty attached to it.
My concern is that, we've got 1%, but 1% of what? It's a very large number of people that are using our transport system, and it's therefore a very large number of individuals who are potentially affected by this.
And of course, Teresa, and let's also not forget, there are people who don't live in London who want to try and travel in London. They don't have access necessarily to Oyster cards when they come in. What are they meant to do?
Exactly. The people who come in from further out in Kent, who maybe don't have the Oyster system, it's very difficult for them. I mean, I currently am living in a small village where there's no post office, no local shop, there's nowhere actually to get your Oyster card charged up. But the fact is that at the moment, if you pay by Oyster, your single fare is quite low. If you pay by cash, it's considerably higher. So there must be a reason why people do that. So there must be a need.
Well, we're running out of time, but what about those people who come from out of town? They're just
every mainline station in London, which is a destination on the National Railway network, allows you to buy a ticket to London terminals or Zone 1. And if you buy a ticket to Zone 1, you have unlimited travel on the bus and the underground network in London. So everybody who comes into London from Kent and from anywhere else has the chance to buy a ticket into Zone 1.
OK, well, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much.